The hand mirror was in the drawer. Oh Sung-hun stopped. His father's old hand mirror. Small, a metal rim. The rim rusted. The mirror surface scratched in several places. The back panel was wood. Old. He had found it in the innermost drawer of his father's desk. Pressed among other objects, he picked it up. He turned it over. There was writing on the wooden back panel, carved directly into the wood. Small and clear. Yi Chang-min. And below it, a number. 1997. 27 years ago. And beside the mirror, a separate folded piece of paper. He unfolded it. His father's handwriting, pressed firmly with a pen. Old but readable. This hand mirror belongs to Yi Chang-min. He asked me to hold onto it for a moment. After that I was unable to meet him again. I don't know where he went. He said he was from the village beyond the Eastern Pass. Find him. He said he would come back to collect it. But 20 years have passed. A name Sung-hun had never once heard. Yi Chang-min. Not from his father. Not in 25 years of living together. He asked me to hold onto it for a moment. But 20 years have passed. That sentence was the one that stayed. His father had been waiting for this person for 20 years. Waiting for him to come back. He never came. So his father left it for his son. He turned the mirror over again. Yi Chang-min. 1997. The name carved into the wood by the person who owned it. A way of marking it as his. And yet this mirror had spent 20 years in his father's desk drawer. His father waiting. His father had died 78 days ago. Before dawn, he had come out of his room to find him on the floor. Heart failure. His heart had been weak for years. The evening before had given nothing away. Dinner, television, the usual cough, bed. Nothing more. The funeral had passed. His older brother came from far away and left after 3 days. Sung-hun remained alone. His mother had died when he was 13. After that, he and his father had lived together in this house. For 25 years, now only Sung-hun remained. He had not moved a single thing from his father's room. Not the cushion, not the teacup, not the slippers. For more than 2 months he had put off sorting. Today he had finally made himself go in. The desk, the innermost drawer, the mirror, the note. His father had been a quiet man. Not warm, but not frightening. Simply still. He swept the yard. He walked briefly in the alley and came back. He set dinner on the table each evening. They ate and watched television and said very little. For 25 years, Sung-hun had never once asked what his father was thinking. His father had never offered. That was how this house had worked. And this mirror had been in that drawer for 20 years. Left there by someone who said he would be back. His father had believed him. Had kept it. Had waited. And at the end had trusted his son to do what he could not. Through the village elder and a week of careful inquiries, a name and number were found. A man named Yi Chang-min was living in the village beyond the Eastern Pass. In his early 70s, the name matched. He called. An old man answered, slow and low but clear. Sung-hun said, "My name is Oh Sung-hun. I am the son of Oh Jae-young. My father died 78 days ago. I found a hand mirror while sorting through his belongings. The name Yi Chang-min and the year 1997 are carved into the back panel. My father's note said you asked him to hold it for a moment. And that you would come back for it." The line went quiet for a long time. Then the old man said, "Jae-young has gone." Something in the voice, old and quiet. Then after a pause, he said he kept it. "For 20 years. Will you come?" Sung-hun said tomorrow. The next morning he took the early bus with the mirror in his coat pocket. 2.5 hours including the pass. A village on the other side. May now. The first days of May. Spring thick and warm. The kind of spring that no longer moves in but simply stands. Small village. Quiet station. He walked the alleys. Gray walls. Thick green leaves. He found the house. A vegetable plot in the yard. Spring greens growing well. He knocked. Slow heavy footsteps. The door opened. An old man in his early 70s. Medium height. Half white hair. many lines on his face, deep clear eyes, a worn vest, both hands loosely clasped in front. He looked at Sung-hun for a long time. Then he said, "You have Jae-young's jawline." Sung-hun could not answer. They sat across a worn wooden table. 2 cups of tea just poured. May afternoon light through the curtain, warm and bright. On one wall, 2 photograph frames. One was a family photo. The other showed a group of people somewhere in a village. Summer, all smiling. Sung-hun found his father in it. Third from the left, late 20s, not smiling, but his eyes were alive. His father, young. Sung-hun placed the mirror on the table. Then the note. The old man looked at the mirror. He reached out and picked it up. Stopped. He held it in his open palm without moving. He turned it over. He looked at the carved back panel. Chang-min, 1997. His own name. His own carving. He ran his fingers slowly over the letters, over the wooden surface, over the rusted rim on the front. He looked at it for a long time. His eyes changed. Something old moved in them. He exhaled, long and slow. He said, "Jae-young kept this for 20 years. Sung-hun said in his desk drawer. He said nothing about it in 25 years of living together. Today was the first time I knew." The old man picked up the note and read it. He asked me to hold onto it for a moment. He said he would come back to collect it. But 20 years have passed. Find him. He set it down. He looked out the window briefly. Then he began. 20 years ago I was working in your father's village for a time. One day I had to leave suddenly. I couldn't take everything. I found your father. I handed him this mirror. I asked him to hold it for a moment. I said I would come back for it. But I couldn't come back. There were circumstances. Years passed. When I eventually came back to that area, I couldn't find your father. The connection was lost. I let go of the mirror in my mind long ago. I didn't think about it anymore. But your father waited for 20 years. Sung-hun said my father kept the note with it. He wrote he said he would come back to collect it. But 20 years have passed. He waited for you to come back. And when he knew he could no longer wait, he asked me to find you. That was his way of finishing what he started. The old man looked at the mirror in his palm. Chang-min, 1997. His name. In a stranger's drawer for 20 years. That stranger waiting for him the whole time. He said, "I know what kind of man Jae-young was. A man who could wait 20 years for a moment. A man who didn't discard something just because the person who left it never came back. And who trusted his son to carry it the last distance." Sung-hun's eyes burned. He closed them slowly, then opened them. He said, "I will say what my father could not say." He remembered. He waited. And when he could not wait any longer himself, he left it for me. That was his way of honoring what you said. You said a moment. He heard that and kept it 20 years. Because a promise made to him was not something he would put aside. The old man looked at Sung-hun for a long time. Something old and deep moved through his eyes. Then he bowed his head slowly and deeply. He held it down for a long moment. When he raised it, his eyes were wet at the inner corners. He did not let it fall. He said, "Thank you, and thank your father." A moment became 20 years. And he still kept it. Would you have understood right away why? Your father kept a mirror for someone who said he would be back in a moment. Or would the 20 years have seemed too long to hold on to something that way? The 2 men sat without speaking. The mirror on the table. May wind outside. Spring fully here and resting. The kind of spring that is no longer arriving. Just here. The old man held the mirror up slowly. He looked at his face in the scratched surface. His old face, reflected dimly, but still there. He said, "I will keep this. My name is in it. Jae-young waited 20 years for me to come back. Now I will keep this the rest of my time." He stood and went to the wall. He took down the group photograph. He brought it to the table. He pointed to Sung-hun's father. Third from the left. Then he said, "Take this. Jae-young is in it. It belongs with his son." Sung-hun received it with both hands. His father's young face. In that village, That summer, standing among people in a summer he had never been told about. He came home after dark. He went to his father's desk. He opened the innermost drawer, the empty place where the mirror had been. He placed the note there, his father's words, in his father's place, and beside it, the photograph. His father, young, on some summer day, standing beside a man who had once handed him a mirror and said, "Just a moment." His father had been a quiet man, but not a man who treated a moment carelessly. He had kept a mirror for 20 years, because someone had asked him to hold it for a moment and had not come back. That had been his way, the way of holding what is left with you, until the one who left it can receive it. The way of not deciding when a moment has become too long to keep waiting. And the way of trusting his son to carry the last part. Sung-hun had learned one part of it today. Perhaps too late, but today was enough. What is held in trust is not always returned quickly. Sometimes a moment becomes 20 years. And sometimes a quiet man holds it that long, because no one told him the moment was over. If this story stayed with you, the next one begins here too.